mutual funds. Mutual funds are where investors pool their money to invest. Portfolio managers manage the pool or the fund, and your return comes as the value of the fund is increased. What in the world did he just say? Let's try this. This is a mutual fund. I'm going to be the mutual fund manager. We're going to open a mutual fund. And you guys are going to invest in it. What's your first name, sir? Randy. Randy's going to put some money in. Your name, ma'am? Michelle is going to put some money in. Your name, ma'am? Diana's going to put some money in.
David.
David's going to put some money in. Dan is going to put some money in. Alicia's going to put some money in. Michelle's going to put some money in. Ryan is going to put a lot of money in. All right? So what has just happened here? This group of people has just mutually funded this. It is a mutual fund. This is hard, isn't it? That's all a mutual fund is. A group of people bought into something together. Usually something they couldn't do by themselves. Because I don't have $1 billion, but I could buy into a mutual fund that had $1 billion and get some of the advantages of playing with people that have $1 billion. And we'll talk about those. Now, what I do with this money as the manager of this mutual fund tells us what kind of mutual fund they bought. If I took this money and I were to buy something like maybe these bonds we talked about, maybe I bought bonds, then this would be a bond mutual fund, and we usually call it a bond fund. Have you ever heard of a bond fund? That's all it is. Instead of you taking $10,000 and buying one bond, if you put $10,000 in this, there'd be a gazillion different bonds in here, and you'd be spread out across a bunch of different bonds. You'd be diversified. You wouldn't have all your eggs where they could get hit with something. You're spread out across more bonds instead of owning just one by being in a bond fund with some other people. Now, if I bought stocks in companies that make things like Dove soap, like Country Crock butter, like Vaseline, like Q-tips, like Slim Fast, like Lipton tea, like Ben & Jerry's ice cream, all detergent, Brute aftershave, Dannon yogurt, Nescafe, Butterfinger, Alpo, Panasonic, or JVC, these are all companies that are not American companies. They're foreign companies. They're overseas companies. Now, a lot of those products are made stateside in factories right here in the U.S. Some of you may work for one of those companies right here in the U.S. But the company is, and certainly their products are consumed here. Those are household names I just named in America. But whether the product is consumed or made here is not what I'm talking about. The company is not an American company. They're an overseas company, which is not a bad thing. But if you were to buy stock, if I were to take the money out of this mutual fund that these people mutually funded, and I bought stock in companies that make things like that, I'd be buying stock in overseas companies. I'd be buying stock in companies internationally. I'd be buying stock in companies in foreign countries. And see, the name of the mutual fund starts to tell you what's in it. If it's a bond fund, what's in there? Bonds. And so if I'm buying stock from companies that are overseas or companies that are international, this would probably be called an international stock mutual fund. Starting to get it? This is how it works. If I take the money out of here and I were to take it out and I were to buy something, I were to buy companies maybe like General Electric, maybe like IBM, maybe like AT&T, maybe like Home Depot, maybe like Cracker Barrel, or maybe, I don't know, let's see, here's another one, Federal Express, or maybe Walmart, or maybe Microsoft. I could buy either one, right? Or maybe Kmart, or maybe not. And so I could buy stock in companies that some of 90 to 200 different companies, America's best and brightest companies, and maybe these stocks, remember it's a share of ownership when I buy stock in it. And instead of buying one company, these guys have bought into this together. They mutually funded it, and it bought a whole bunch of different companies, so they got that diversification. Their eggs are spread out. They're not in one basket. And if I buy stocks and I buy into a mutual fund where there are companies that are growing, we might call their stocks growth stocks, which would make this then a growth stock mutual fund. Oh, you're getting it. That's what a growth stock mutual fund is. It's a group of funds, a group of stocks in a mutually funded account. People mutually funded it in companies that are growing. And it goes up, and sometimes it goes down, depending on what the economy is doing and this group of companies do. But if I bet the whole thing on one company, I could lose it all, couldn't I? My eggs could crack up. So if I put $1,000 in one basket for my kids' college, it could crack up. Or if I put $1,000 in here, it's spread across a bunch of different baskets. So it creates diversification. So I like this, because remember, diversification lowers risk, because diversification means to spread around. In other words, what we're saying with money is this: money is a lot like manure. Left in one big pile, it stinks. Spread around, it grows things.
Hey guys, one of the most common questions I get from folks your age is, where and how do I open a mutual fund, and how much money do I need to start one? Well, let's start with the second part first. How much money do you need? A lot of mutual funds will open an account for as little as $250 or $500. And if you want to put money in every single month, you can open a mutual fund for $25 a month or $50 a month with some of them. So just check with your broker to do that. Now, where and how do you open a fund? A little more complicated. I'd recommend you get with a good mutual fund broker, one that has the heart of a teacher, one that will sit down and explain to you what you're doing till you understand it. Remember that rule of investing: don't put money in anything you don't understand.
Investing is really like helping you prepare for retirement day. I can remember in the spring when I was playing football, we had to jog, we had to lift weights, we had to get our bodies ready for the fall when game day came. So your retirement planning, your investing is really helping you get ready for retirement day. So you're investing now so you can enjoy it later. I advise people to never sell off long-term pre-tax investments like 401ks or 403bs because it can cause a major tax penalty. That means whatever amount you cash out from your investment, the government is not only going to make you pay taxes on that money, but they're also going to charge you a penalty for early withdrawal. That means you might lose as much as 40% of the money you take out. It's not a wise choice. So to attack debt, I want you to look at your budget, begin to figure out ways to make extra money, and begin to systematically chip away at the debt. Don't touch your investments. Those are for later. Work hard now, sacrifice, make extra money, and attack that debt and get it out of your life.
Now, I'm often telling people, listen, if you invest, you can kind of calculate it based on 12%. The stock market, since its inception, has averaged about 11.8%. And I get these calls and I get this hate mail from these goobers all across America that say, you can't get 12% on your money. You just can't get, there's no mutual funds out there that get 12%. I mean, I don't know where you have your head stuck, but I tell you what, they're all over the place. There are tons of them. I spent 60 seconds on my Morningstar software just the other day getting ready for this talk. 60 seconds. I found 500 plus mutual funds that have a 15-year track record of 12% or more. I don't think you need 500. You just need a couple of them. So 12% is out there. It's out there. 12% is fairly easy to do. I own one mutual fund that has about just a little bit under a 13% average for over 70 years. And in the last 30 years, it's had 3 times it was down. Now, I don't sell mutual funds. I don't care if you own a mutual fund. It doesn't affect me one thing. But I can tell you this, a lot of our wealth is stored in America's best and brightest companies. Why? Because I think they're going to do well. Why do I think that? Because they've pretty well always done well as a group. Now, I didn't bet the farm on one of those names. I don't know which one of those names is great. And I'm not going to try to figure all that out. But I'm willing to spread it out and be diversified across several. And I even spread it out then across several kinds of mutual funds. You got to remember now, mutual funds are long-term investments. And when you're picking your Roth IRA or your 401k or doing your long-term investing, you need to spread your mutual funds out across 4 types: of mutual funds. And you look for a mutual fund that has at least a 5 or a 10-year track record. If the mutual fund is not old enough to be potty trained, don't buy it. If it's brand new, there's no need to buy it. There's plenty of old ones out there. Like that one I said, 70 years old. I bought another one the other day, started in 1958. I bought another one the other day, started in 1972. And these all have long track records. It's like buying a home in a neighborhood where the trees are big. You kind of know what's going on. It's been there a while. You know what I'm saying? There's a track record there that I can count on, that I'm comfortable with. Now, spread your mutual funds investing across 4 areas. Put 1/4 of your money in growth stock mutual funds. Sometimes those are called mid-cap funds or equity funds, or you might even see it as an index fund like an S&P 500 in your choices at your 401k or that kind of thing. But put 1/4 in those. Mid-cap means this. CAP stands for capitalization. Capitalization means money. So this is a medium-sized company. If it's a middle capitalized company, it's in the middle. It's a medium-sized company. That's the process. Then put 1/4 of your money in growth and income. That's the calmest one. It's the calmest one. These are also sometimes called a large cap fund. Cap means capitalization. Now, capitalization then means if it's large cap, these are big old dinosaur companies. They don't move real fast. They're not really exciting. They're not going to go up as much when it goes up, but they're not going to go down as much when it goes down. They're kind of boring. And you want this one in here. This is the very precise one. Sometimes these are called blue chip funds because the blue chip on the poker table is the most expensive chip on the poker table. Again, indicating a large company. And so if you hear I've got a blue chip fund, then that's a very calm mutual fund. I put 1/4 in aggressive growth. That's the small cap, small companies, exciting, emerging markets. And you don't want to put it all in one of these. Sometimes I hear people say, I'm young, so I'll put all of mine in aggressive growth. That's stupid. If you put all your money in aggressive growth, it's like eating pizza and riding a roller coaster. It'll be fun, but you'll get sick. You don't want to put it all in there because they go way up and they go way down. I had one back in the 90s, made 105% rate of return in 1 year. Lost it all the next year. You don't want to take that ride with all your money, but having a little bit of that flavor in there is good for you when things are happening and doing well. So I have a little bit in there. I have 1/4 in there. And then I put 1/4 overseas and international, sometimes called an overseas fund, sometimes called an international fund, sometimes called a foreign fund. And you listen to these. Now, it has a kissing cousin called a global fund. I have a global fund that did very well in the last 10 years. Now, a global fund is the whole globe. It's overseas and some U.S., some American companies sprinkled in there. It's everything. And so it's a kissing cousin to the international. And international has no American, but a global has a little bit in there. And they do very, very well sometimes. But that gives you the ability to participate in companies that make products like we named a little bit earlier. So buy with a 5-year or longer track record. Long track record. That's what you're looking for. And spread it across those 4 kinds of mutual funds.